So this is part 2 of an interview I did with a guy called Caleb Hall as part of my Daily Listeners series on YouTube. So in this part, I'll just be asking Caleb a bit about the differences between the Irish and American music scenes, as well as just asking him how he chose trumpet as his instrument. So it's a bit shorter than the last video, but it's really interesting. If you enjoy it, I'd be delighted if you could share it with others who you think might enjoy it too. I've also put a link to Caleb's band down in the description. They're called New Radio Dialect, and they're fantastic. So go check that out. And I've also put a link to Caleb's SoundCloud, which has a bit of kind of, I suppose, his experimental music, which is really cool. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. Obviously, you're from the States, so being in Ireland and kind of comparing the Irish music scene to the like the scene back home, like what's different? I can imagine it's probably quite different.
Yeah.
I think recording studios are probably more common back home.
Yeah.
Whereas here they're a bit rarer.
I mean, I'm not really seeing any here, but I've not seeked it out either. So
yeah.
But I mean, almost everybody and their mother has some kind of home studio set up at home that I know. I mean, Nashville, almost all the big studios are gone, and everyone just has these small little things. And my cousin's studio in Nashville is just in like they basically bought a cabin. It's kind of like a retreat thing, and so people can go there and then do a bunch of recording while they're there. It's super cool. But I mean, that kind of thing's common. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've not noticed any recording stuff here though, which is, I guess, not relevant to the question then. But yeah, I don't know how that compares. But as for like the music scene, I mean, it's great. There's so many pubs that do traditional music all the time.
Yeah.
Which is great. So I'm just trying to think of a good comparison, because like at home, like there are venues that do live music a lot, but it's way more of an event when that happens at home, because most places do not have live music every night. It's very rare that places will have live music every night. It'll either be one night of the week and then on a weekend. You know what I mean? Like most weekends, places will have them, but it's way more of an event at home than it is here, when you can just go to pretty much any pub and
there'll probably be someone there.
Yeah. But because of that, I found out that most Irish places don't pay musicians, except like in beer. I mean, there are like Crane Lane does good. Because they actually are just straight up like a music venue, and so they do pay people.
I suppose it does depend on.
But it's still very, like, I mean, if I'm talking to other people, like, it's still very rare here that venues will straight up pay a band to do stuff, because
I've certainly played some very low-paying gigs in my time.
So I think that's the biggest difference. I mean, music happens more often here than it does at home.
Okay.
And because, again, at home it's more of an event as opposed to like a everyday thing that you would expect to hear. But because of that, you do get paid more in the States to perform, as opposed to here it's just an everyday thing. I mean, I'm not saying even if people do get paid, it's probably just pennies, again, or just beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I suppose there's pros and cons to both.
Yeah.
Like, it is nice to just have that.
Well, and the cool thing about Ireland, though, is they have the Arts Council, and that there's a lot of money that comes from that into doing things like I did 2 musicals over the past month.
Yeah.
You know, for different like theater companies, and I'm sure they're mostly self-funded, but I cannot imagine that the Arts Council doesn't have their fingers in there somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, funding at least a part of it, which, I mean, that is an incredible thing on its own. I wish the States could do that, but that won't happen. It's too big. There's 300 million. Yeah. There's 300 million people.
Yeah, I suppose we do have the advantage of being much smaller.
Yeah, I mean, that could probably work on a state level, I think, but I think at home that kind of stuff doesn't come from the government. It comes more from like private benefactor kind of stuff.
Okay.
But that's not a big deal. But I mean, I think that's absolutely the biggest difference that I've noticed, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then quickly, just like, what made you choose trumpet as your instrument? Was that just kind of just like, that's cool,
I don't know.
I'll play that?
I was 11. I wish I could remember that far.
Yeah.
That was 19 years ago. I mean, I know how they did it. They, because everyone has different, like, sensitivities on their mouth. And And so, they did like tests for all the kids who wanted to be in band, just to see what their mouths could actually do. Because especially when you're that age, like some kids have like different motor skills that have developed more advanced on their face and stuff like that. Because doing the things that you need to do for a brass instrument or a woodwind instrument or whatever are very not normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, like that's not a normal thing to have to do. So it's like, so what they did, they had all the kids kind of go around. They had, you know, there's an assistant band director and there's some, you know, other people that were helping. So it went pretty fast. But, you know, the kids, or, you know, what we would do, they would just test us to see if, because some kids would do that and it would really tingle their lips. So they're like, I don't like that kind of thing, that tactile feeling. But, I mean, I think it tickled mine for a little bit, but I could still get like a clear sound for a 6th grader who has never done that. But you know what I mean? Like, enough to know it's like, all right, cool. He can actually, you know.
Yeah.
Or like some people would play, like, they would try like the clarinet mouthpiece, but their teeth were really sensitive because, you know, they're just sitting, you know. Yeah. And so some people didn't like that, so then maybe a brass instrument or percussion is better. So, I mean, it was just like stuff like that. But I think I scored decently high on all of them.
That's cool.
Which is not it has nothing to do with even being musical. It was just for whatever reason my face was fine to make, because like you know, playing a flute is very similar to just like taking a Coke bottle and blowing in the top of it, and I've been able to do that, you know, just going doo, you know, that kind of thing. And so it's like and in percussion I was fine because doing that crap all you know, being, and I think a lot of it probably did have to do with playing video games. That's why I did fine on percussion, because I was just
you suppose you do get a rhythm.
Yeah,
playing a game.
I mean, whether that's related or not, I have no idea. So much to do with paper on it. I'm not going to. No, so I mean, it was just so like I don't think it was any instrument in particular I was like thrilled about. I was like trumpet or nothing. Like it wasn't. It definitely wasn't that, because I think I did want to play percussion actually before.
Yeah.
And then I think everything just worked better. Whatever. So then I just started playing trumpet, and then.
Cool.
And then after a while, I did start learning other instruments, which was cool. 'Cause I played French horn for a bit, and then decent at flute, and then flute and saxophone have the same fingerings for the most part. And then so I wish I could play saxophone more, but it's a different embouchure setup, so I can't. It wrecks my trumpet embouchure, so I can't do it. It's a bummer.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but it's fine. So yeah, no, it was just one of those things that we just got tested on, kind of.
Just happened, yeah.
Well, probably more of a God thing than anything. He's like, no, you're going to do this. It's going to be great. It's going to be great, I promise. And then my life has been miserable for 19 years.
Oh, there you go.
Because trumpet is not fun. That sounds horrible. I mean, I enjoy it, but it's absolutely, it's the devil.
What, is it just kind of in terms of...
Physicality.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough.
It's incredibly exhausting to play.
Yeah, I would imagine.
This muscle doesn't get built except for playing trumpet. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I have a mark on my lip from my mouthpiece. You know what I mean? Like, the muscle is very clearly defined on my face. So, no, I mean, it's good, though. I mean, I enjoy it, but good grief. Like, any brass instrument, it's just... It's so tiring.